Hello everyone, it's me Dr. Zainab and I hope you are having a great day. Today I am here with our new topic, that is the esophagus in the thorax. In this lecture we will discuss the length of the esophagus, the structure of the esophagus, the important curvatures or constrictions of esophagus, and all about the arterial supply, venous supply, lymphatic and nerve supply of the esophagus. So let's start with the esophagus. As you can see here that from the nose the nasal cavity started, and from the mouth we have this buccal cavity started. Back then they form the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, and down the laryngopharynx. Okay, then from the laryngopharynx there started the esophagus. So the esophagus is a narrow muscular tube or the food passage between the pharynx above and the stomach below. Okay, you can see here that it is a narrow muscular tube which started from the pharynx above and the stomach below. It extends from the lower part of the neck above to the upper part of the abdomen. If we talk about the overall length of this esophagus, this muscular tube, then it is 25 centimeter in length. Okay, now this esophagus started from the upper esophageal sphincter, which is made by the cricopharyngeus muscle. Okay, and it ends at the lower esophageal sphincter. This lower esophageal sphincter which is 3 to 4 centimeter lies intraperitoneally. Okay, it lies intraperitoneally below the diaphragm. This esophagus, it is held loosely in the hiatus by a phrenicoesophageal ligament. Okay, this esophagus runs in front of the vertebral column and posterior to the trachea. Okay, it is very important that it runs behind the trachea. Okay, first of all, if we start from anteriorly, then behind the sternum we have trachea, then esophagus, and then the vertebral column. If we talk about the curvatures of the esophagus, then it corresponds anteroposteriorly, it corresponds to the cervicothoracic spine. Okay, and additionally it has two left curvatures. As you can see here, the whole esophagus, it is divided into three parts. Okay, as it starts from the cricoid cartilage which lies at the level of the C6, so it has three the whole esophagus, it is divided into the three parts, that is the cervical esophagus, the thoracic esophagus, and the 3 to 4 centimeter part that lies below to the diaphragm, so that is abdominal esophagus. Okay, cervical esophagus, thoracic esophagus, and the diaphragmatic esophagus. If we talk about the constrictions of the esophagus from the incisors teeth that help during the endoscopy or esophagoscopic passing, so from the we have four constrictions. The first constriction lies at the level of upper esophageal sphincter, which is at the distance of 15 centimeter. The second constriction lies at where the esophagus is crossed by the arch of aorta. Okay, and it lies at a distance of 22.5 centimeter. The third constriction lies where the esophagus is crossed by the left main bronchus, and it lies at a distance of 27.5 centimeter. And the last fourth constriction lies at the level of lower esophageal sphincter, which lies at the level of 37.5 centimeter. This distance is very much important during the passage of endoscope or the esophagoscope. Okay, now if we talk about the arterial supply of the esophagus, then the cervical esophagus, as it lies above and behind and below the thyroid cartilage and thyroid gland, so it is supplied by the inferior thyroid artery. Thoracic esophagus is supplied by the branches of thoracic aorta, and the abdominal esophagus is supplied by the esophageal branches from the left gastric artery. Okay, the venous drainage of the cervical esophagus correspond into their respective artery, that is the inferior thyroid veins. Thoracic esophagus drains into the azygous veins, while the diaphragmatic or abdominal esophagus drains into the gastric veins. Okay, The lymphatic supply of the cervical esophagus, as its name shows, it drains into the deep cervical lymph nodes. Thoracic esophagus, as you know that the overall esophagus lies in the superior and posterior mediastinum. Okay, so the thoracic esophagus drains into the posterior lymph nodes, and the abdominal esophagus lymph nodes, and the abdominal esophagus drains into the left gastric nodes. If we talk about the overall nerve supply of the esophagus, then the then the parasympathetic supply of upper esophagus is from the left recurrent laryngeal nerve and the two vagi, okay, right and left vagus and to the left recurrent laryngeal nerve, while the lower esophagus is supplied by the upper. So the parasympathetic supply of upper esophagus is from the left recurrent laryngeal nerve and from the lower esophagus supply is from the right and left vagus nerve. This parasympathetic supply is sensory, motor and secretomotor in nature, okay, while the sympathetic nerve supply is from the middle cervical and the thoracic ganglion, and it is only vasomotor in nature. Thank you so much. If you have any question you can ask. Thank you.